Well. It has been so long since I branched out my content on this channel. And I'm glad to finally be doing that with Kagurabachi and Blue Lock chapter reviews. You know what I'm saying? The reason why I'm doing this, I'm a very big fan of manga. And I want to put people on to this stuff, bro. I want to put people on to this stuff, bro. Because this stuff is peak. Specifically Kagurabachi. I'm the most passionate about Kagurabachi right now. Let me know if y'all like this kind of content, and if y'all don't, I will stop right now. This is just a test video to see how y'all like this stuff, right? This is just a test video to see how y'all like this stuff. But anyway, that's enough of me yapping. Let's get into the chapter. Chapter 81 of Kagurabachi. So one of the Kamunabi headquarters, Mr. Izaru, comes up to the dude that's looking over the entire Kamunabi facility. He's obviously shocked because one of his workers literally himself and then exploded into some tree roots inside of an elevator, killing another higher up, right? Then he's like, everything's getting investigated, big bro, don't even worry about it. And of course, they're worried about the Shinichi because that's the end goal for Hishaku at this point. I don't know why that was so hard. The main goal for the Hishaku is to get the Shinichi, right? And then Mr. Izaru talks about that there are 4 things that the Kamunabi have to protect, even if it costs them their life. The force field's core of the facility, the Shinichi, the sword master, and it cuts off and then goes to a panel of Hakuri. And then Hakuri is low-key kind of freaking out because he doesn't really know who to trust, right? He's just walking through this place. He just woke up from a coma, mind you. So he's kind of a little disoriented. And he just used Iso for the first time in like weeks. So there's no telling who's an enemy. He's just repeating to himself, I'm a core fighter, because he's scared, right? He don't really know what to do. Then he walks into this like, I think it's the library. I think he walks into like the library. I might be wrong. He's wondering where the Shinichi is, right? And then Kashima, I think he was from an earlier chapter. He introduced himself to Hakuri, says that he used to work for Kudo. And then the security system dude is talking over the intercom. At 4 minutes ago, the tree pines sprouted into the bodies of 4 employees and attacked the vicinity. And then he goes on further to say that he investigated the corpses, and it appears that the Hishaku sorcerers planted seeds in their bodies, and that the seeds activate when the carrier dies. So in the chapter before, right, when the dude cut his throat, right, and then he exploded, I find it kind of stupid, though. I'm gonna tell you why. Because the reason that the Kamunabi workers are doing this is because that the Hishaku has some kind of bribe on them, some kind of blackmail. Like, for example, the dude in the elevator, his daughter got kidnapped by the Hishaku. And then he's like, oh, and then Hat Shaku's like, oh, if you don't do this, you know what I'm saying, we gonna kill your daughter or whatever. It's like, okay, I understand that, but like, why would you not want to see that happen, though? Because, like, the Hishaku could easily fake out, right? They could easily play a trick on you after you're dead and be like, oh, never mind, we gonna kill her anyway. Like, I don't know. This feels weird to me. This feels weird. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying this feels weird. I'm just saying it feels weird. And then he explains that there are more bombs yet to detonate. He tells us that there are close to 50 seeds and that there are 500 workers. So every 1 in 10 worker is a grunt, you know what I'm saying? Or a bomber. So, yeah, that's not really good numbers. That's not really good numbers. And then the dude over the intercom says that he's zoning in on the exact locations. and saying that nobody moves except for Hakuri, because it's obvious Hakuri doesn't have a bomb inside of him because he was in a coma for like weeks, right? Kashima is low-key being a W mans, right? And then he's awesome. I'm not gonna let anyone near you. The Shinichi's that way. Go, right? And then, to everyone's shock, Kudo walks in from the hallway. And then Kudo's talking about, nah, it's too dangerous, I'll come with you too. Hakuri, the impressionable mind that he is, he thinks that Kudo actually survived. But Kashima notices something. Something a little off with bro. And Kashima is just telling this dude to constantly back up. Don't come any closer. Kashima has low-key just been the smartest person in the room this whole section, right? These whole last few pages, he's just been the smartest person in the room, right? Then, as Kudo, quote-unquote, and Kashima are arguing amongst themselves, Hakuri turns and sees this Hishaku woman with 2 knives in her hands, right? She does a little flash step. Kashima tells them to get down. They don't listen. They're too slow. And then 2 members of the Kamanabi's heads fly off. She goes for Hakuri, but the goat Kashima takes the stab instead of him. And then it's shown that one of these members had the seed planted inside of him, right? And then the branches are coming towards Hakuri, and then Hakuri hits it with a really good-looking Iso. There's one thing about Kagurabachi I will always glaze, it's the art. The art always looks so good in this manga, bro. But anyway, after Hakuri uses the Iso, he reopens his eyes, and he sees that Kudo has a knife to Kashima's neck, and the Hishaku woman is behind him. And it's shown that this wasn't Kudo, big shocker there. It was this guy using transformation sorcery. And then he confirms that Kudo died in the elevator, R.I.P. Kudo. And then the shapeshifter dude says something really interesting. He says that's the last of Kudo's troop. The quota has been met, and the Western Underground Sector's main force has been neutralized. Go ahead and kill Hakuri Sazanami. This is really interesting, and Hakuri even questions this, wondering about a quota, right? But he doesn't have much time to think about it, and Kashima just tells him to run and don't trust anybody. Keep that in mind. That's going to be very important later, like super important later. And then as Hakuri is running down the hallway, he's kind of tweaking out. He's low-key really scared. Like, who wouldn't be, right? He's thinking, they all died to protect me. I can't rely on anyone. I'm alone. I have to fight. You know what I'm saying? Hakuri's not a fighter. He's not really a fighter. So the thought of him saying that he needs to fight, low-key kind of insane. And then his hands are shaking from him just using Iso. And then as Hakuri is running down the hallway, he sees the drippiest character in Kagurabachi, Uraha himself, running down the hallway. Now, this man Kashima literally just said not to trust anybody, right? This dude said not to trust anybody. And then Hakuri, he takes that advice to heart. He doesn't trust this. He thinks that it's just somebody else using transformation sorcery. And then Uraha, as he's running down the hallway, he shouts his name, saying Hakuri Centipede. Now, if you don't remember what Centipede is, it's an attack formation that Chihiro, Hakuri, and Uraha all created while they were on that train together, fighting off those Hishaku members, right? So, I mean, it still might be some Hishaku member. I mean, who knows? The Centipede might be a very, popular battle formation, and he's using EIY Purity style. Okay. This is 1,000,000% Uraha. Because there's no way some random Hishaku just knows EIY Purity style. And even if they did, right, in the next panel, it shows Uraha fighting the other Hishaku members. if this is really just some random Hishaku using Uraha's body, one, he wouldn't know how to use EI White Purity style from the start, and two, he has no reason to attack his former comrades when the enemy is right in front of him, right? So this tells me that this is 100% Uraha. I don't really like this. I don't like this reveal, but I'm going to explain it in a little bit. Hakuri is obviously shocked because Uraha was pronounced dead after Samura cut him down, right? He was pronounced dead. And then this dude Uraha is on some, I'm sorry it took so long. I'll explain later, just come with me. And then we've got Hakuri hitting a Luffy face, I'm not gonna lie. That was kind of funny. Alright, and that's the end of chapter 81 of Kagurabachi. No break. So, what I really want to talk about is Uraha. Uraha is the prime suspect of this video. Because, one, how are you alive? Why are you alive? To be honest, Uraha being just copped out as alive, this low-key feels like a Nobara situation. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean, and I'm not going to go any further than that. But this low-key feels like a Nobara situation with how this is being presented. I mean, there were some copers out there that thought that Uraha was actually alive. I'm gonna be honest, I was not one of those people. I did not think Uraha was alive, bro. I feel like it would have made more sense to keep Uraha dead, because it would have added more stakes to the story and it would have shown how much more powerful Samura is. I mean, Samura doesn't need to kill people to show you how powerful he is, but it would just add more emotion, because Uraha was Samura's student. And the fact that he would kill him for this one goal just shows how hyper-focused he is on this. And just shows how committed he is to doing this. I guess the proof was in the pudding after all. Because if I'm going to be honest, Uraha got sliced the exact same way that Chihiro got sliced. And Chihiro lived. So maybe I could see it coming that, oh, Samura left me alive for whatever reason. Maybe it was to get the contract of Kamayuri off of Uraha so he wouldn't have to kill him. I might be reaching for some, but let me cook for a second. Samura's main goal throughout this entire arc is to kill the contracted sword bearers, right? So that they can never use the swords again to bring harm to anybody ever again. Because he has nightmares of what happened on that island, or during the Seitsu War. But what if he's been holding back purposely? Because the sword bearers are his friends. The contracted sword bearers are his friends and pupils, right? Uraha being one of the closest to him. That is actually a contracted sword bearer, because that's a student. But what if Samura has been purposely keeping these people alive because if they died for just like a minute, that would get the contract of Kamayuri off of that would get the contract of Kamayuri off of Uraha, and he wouldn't have to go after him again. Hold on, my cat's. Hey! Out from over there. Stop it. Stop. Ruining my video, dog. What you doing? Sorry about that. It was a cat interruption. But, basically what I was saying before was, what if Samura has been purposely killing these guys for like under like a minute or something, so that would get the contract of these enchanted blades off of them, so they wouldn't have to go to them again. But in the end, it doesn't really make sense because I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Maybe it lands, maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Who knows, right? I'm just throwing stuff out there. But anyway, I'm not a Uraha hater, per se. I just don't like that he's alive. I really like Uraha. I really do. Uraha was one of my favorite of the new characters that got introduced. During the Swordsmith assassination arc, or whatever it was. Swordsmith, Swordbearer assassination arc. There you go. That's what it's called. He was one of my favorite characters that got introduced during the Swordbearer assassination arc, along with Samura. Right. So, I really liked this character. He was drippy. He was cool. But I feel like him being alive doesn't really add that much to the story. And I feel like it just takes away the stakes for the good guys. Because name one relevant good guy that has died in the story. Because if I'm gonna be honest, I can't think of one. Maybe besides the Cloud Gouger squad. But come on, that's the Cloud Gouger squad. Like, bro, they didn't matter in the end anyway. That sounds mean, but you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, yeah, I can't really think of any good guy that has died recently in Kagurabachi. But anyway, that's enough of me yapping. This was Kagurabachi chapter 81. Let me know how you thought about this one in the comments. If I had to give this a Fantano ranking, I would have to give this I would give it a low to mid 6 of a chapter. It wasn't a bad chapter. There was a lot of good action in here too. A lot of good artwork. But this is definitely not Hokuzono's best work. And I am praying that Hokuzono explains Uraha coming back in an actual good way. I'm hoping it's just not some cop-out, bro. I'm hoping it's not a cop-out. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this one. I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye and stay safe. This feels so weird saying on a manga video, but it's cool. Goodbye and stay safe.